We're supporting. Same as always. It's only for 2 weeks. In it for a week. I was ready for him to go back to school then. I was ready for him to go back to school then. Yeah. Right, you know. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yep. Trying to get back. No, I was told they have a paper copy of this agenda.
I just looked at you. Just.
What?
Good day.
Good, you know, frame and done. Or up there, good, the week for them on last.
I have.
Other therapists.
What's your?
The plumbing, the electric.
Yeah. Yeah, I was walking out of work at 5:31.
Well, that's good. A lot better than never has. Yeah, well.
Oh, are you on your way? Yes.
And I was like, never mind.
It'll be right.
Okay. I'll call the March 18th City Council meeting to order. Call the roll.
Abby Hansen,
Here.
John Hawkins,
Here.
Megan McFarland,
Here.
Matt McKinney,
Here.
Logan Welch.
Here. Call for motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Questions, communications and requests. This is the time of the meeting that a citizen may address the council on a matter not on the agenda. Except in case of emergency, the city council will not take any action at this meeting. But may ask the city staff to research the matter and have the matter placed on the agenda for a future meeting. Does anyone have anything? Come up to the podium. State your name. Address.
I was wondering why the police are not doing anything about people stealing city property.
Stealing city property. Can you explain that?
My house that the city acquired was broken into. People were caught in the act and let go.
I guess we can look into that and find out. So.
Yeah, I can take a look into that.
Yeah.
When I talked to you previously, you said it was city's property, so it's not much you can do about me being a victim.
I don't recall that conversation. What are you referring to?
When I went down there and we talked to Zach. You recall that?
Was I there? I don't remember.
No, I'm
Not
sorry.
me, I wasn't there.
All right, I have been confused for someone else.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
All right.
We'll look into it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything? You girls want to get up and look? Yeah. Okay. All right. Item 2, minutes, claims, reports and licenses. The following item has been deemed non-controversial routine actions by the council will be approved by a single motion, be approved in a single motion. If a council member or the game member of the audience wishes to have an item removed from this list, were considered on its normal sequence on the agenda. A is minutes of March 4th and March 6th. B is a resolution on payroll for period ending March 9th and paid on March 15. And then C is a resolution on bills and approve the fund list with a change.
Yeah, the invoice for Weisberg implement is $83 less than what is showing on the report. So I adjusted the resolution and the fund list to reflect that. I just thought I should bring it to you, even though it is lower. So the resolution will be for $865,642.19 is the amount you'll be approving.
And then D is the wastewater and water reports for February. E is the police department activity report for February and citations by approach for February. F is the fire department report for February. G is the Hamilton County Solid Waste Commission meeting agenda for March 13. And then H is a recommend approval for issuance of beer liquor licenses by the Iowa Department of Commerce for the following: approve ownership update amendment for Quick Trip 924, which is Quick Star at 505 Fairmeadow Drive, and a special Class C retail alcohol license, 5-day licenses for Top of Iowa Lucky Wife LLC for participation in the Webster City Chamber of Commerce market nights for the following dates: in 24, June 6th, June 20th, June 27, July 11, July 25, August 1st, August 8th, August 15, August 22nd, and August 29. And that's it.
Move to approve collectively.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. 3 is general agenda. We have 605, so a public hearing pertaining to the disposal of city-owned property in Brewer Creek Estates, 6th edition, for lots 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 for Ridge Developments LLC. I'll open the hearing. Are there any written objections?
I received no written objections.
Are there any oral objections?
No oral objections.
Okay, I'll close the hearing. So I need direction on what the council would like to do with the permit fees. The developer is asking for proposed cap to be 2,500 per building. Is that something you think you'd like to approve?
No, my opinion hasn't changed from before. I think I'm good with that, with the multiple housing units being developed.
Yeah, same here. I mean, again, if, as long as, you know, that ask isn't that egregious, yeah, I don't see that being an issue.
Well, and just to add to the council's discussion, staff did a review of a few communities that summary is included in the agenda statement. The request is within the surveyed range of the cities that were included were Boone, Story City, Clarion, Fort Dodge, and Eagle Grove. Ariel did a review of that, and she was comfortable with that amount being very comparable to those other communities. So in this instance, the developer is not asking something more of us than it would be expected in other communities.
Okay. So call for resolution authorizing and approving the execution of a purchase agreement for the sale of lots in Brewer Creek Estates, 6th edition, between the City of Webster City and Ridge Developments LLC for lots 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And was that with the? Did I have to say that was with the $2,500?
Yeah, part of the agreement, yeah.
Will be approved.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those same sign. All right, B is a public hearing pertaining to the disposal of city-owned property in Brewer Creek Estates, 6th edition, for lots 21, 22, 23, 24 to Greenstream Homes of Iowa. I'll open the hearing. Are there any written objections?
I received no written objections.
Are there any oral objections?
No oral objections.
We'll close the hearing. So this is a resolution authorizing and approving execution of a purchase agreement for the sale of lots in Brewer Creek Estates, 6th edition, between the City of Webster City and Greenstream Homes of Iowa LLC for lots 21, 22, 23, and 24.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those same sign. Okay. Item C is an appointment of Dave Engstrom to the City Civil Service Commission for a 4-year term beginning April 1st and ending on April 3rd of 28.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
D is a motion setting a public hearing for the property tax levy for April 1st at 5:45 PM.
Jody Wolfram is here to present. Thank you for preparing these documents, Jody.
Property tax period, it's a new requirement which replaces the maximum tax levy that we've had the past few years. So the county auditors are required to send a letter to all property owners on the 20th of March. So our property owners should hopefully have these letters by Friday, Saturday, showing what all of the proposed levies will be and how that will look for their property, how much of their taxes will go to each entity. So I'm having the hearing at 5:45 on April 1st, prior to our regular scheduled council meeting. And the city was able to lower the overall levy by $1.61. There were other factors. The average assessed value did increase by 26% for residential properties. And I received that from a chart that was given by the county. The rollback is 8.32% lower than last year for residential property, which means less assessed value is taxable, which is good for the owners. So I just did a quick calculation. In a house assessed at $100,000, we'll pay approximately $13 less in taxes for the upcoming year because we were with all the factors there. And we're using reserves in our work comp, FICA, IFRS, and medical insurance funds to reduce this overall levy. Staff, we feel confident that this will not make like a spike next year. And as a result of lowering this year, even if we would choose to, bond out of the general fund for like street projects or something, I'm not sure we'll do there, but so. And then we have a slight, it will also give us a slight increase in the overall general fund that we can use for all the departments, not a specific use.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
We'll call for a motion.
Move to approve.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
And just as we close that item, just wanted to thank Dodie for her work in setting the levy. She was invaluable to me getting the budget together, as well as, her oversight of the city's finances for some time has allowed us to be able to take this step, which is a measurable benefit to each property owner in the city. So thank you, Dodie, for that work.
E is a resolution providing for notice of hearing on proposed plan specifications for land grading services needed for construction of the Reisner substation for May 6th at 6:05 p.m. Adam.
Good evening. Yeah, this is just asking for permission to go out for bids to do the dirt work for the Reisner substation. As you know, in the past, you guys have talked about and taken care of the 6.9 kV breakers and all that. So this is just another part of the Reisner substation. It's the dirt work. Yep. And we will be setting a public hearing for May 6th at 6:05.
Okay, call for motion.
To approve. Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
And then item F is a resolution providing for notice of hearing on proposed plan specifications for miscellaneous major substation materials needed for construction of the Reisner substation for May 6th at 6:10 p.m.
Once again, dealing all with the Reisner substation, and it is the bigger equipment associated with the sub. Switching the lightning arresters, the PT or potential transformers. Doing the dirt work for the cable trench and then the wire itself. And once again, we'll be setting that public hearing for May 6th at 6:10.
Thanks, Adam.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
G is a resolution authorising the Recreation and Public Grounds Director to purchase a Ram 2500 truck from Carl Chevrolet. Good evening, Brian.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. The item you have before you is a resolution authorizing purchase of a Ram 2500 truck in the amount of $46,340 from Carl Chevrolet, which is the state bid price. We currently budgeted $38,000 in our capital equipment plan for the truck purchase. Due to the increase in demand and inflation, staff is requesting to use the following funds to purchase the truck. So our CEP budget amount of $38,000. Then we have additional funds from the stand-on aerator of $2,940. Additional funds from the trailer purchase of $2,050, and then additional funds from the skid loader auger attachment purchase of $3,695. All of these items have been purchased and were included in the budget for the 23-24 capital equipment plan. So the total additional funds for the CEP that may be applied to the truck purchase are $8,687, which leaves a total funding of $347 that we have not spent. But so staff is recommending city council to adopt the resolution authorizing the recreation and public grounds director to purchase the Ram 2500 truck at the state bid price of $46,340 from Carl Chevrolet.
Yeah. Very good, very thorough.
Thanks.
I'd say it's warranted. I'd say it's pretty warranted when all 4 trucks.
I've seen what you drive.
Pretty old. Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye. Item H is a resolution authorising the mayor to sign and execute amendment number 29 with Snyder Associates to provide professional services needed for routine bridge inspections and associated reports. Evening, Brandon.
Evening. So this is just our yearly bridge inspection that we were with Schneider and Associates. This year, they will be inspecting 6 bridges. They include East Ohio Street over Brewers Creek, Overpass Drive, over the railroad tracks, 2nd Street Bridge over Boone River, 2nd Street over Lions Creek, Superior Street over Brewers Creek, and Beach Street over Brewers Creek. Last year with the bridge inspection, everything came back pretty good. There's some grub clearing and stuff like that that staff is going to try taking care of in-house, but other than that, so far, it's coming back really well.
Good, they're expensive pieces of them. It gets, you lose money in a hurry when you fix it.
Yep.
All right.
You have a lot of bridges.
What's that?
You have a lot of bridges.
What do we have, like, 11? 6 of that.
Call for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
And then item I is a presentation for the 2023-24 sanitary sewer report. Seen some good pictures there. Did you get a chance to blow them up? Have a look at them. I did.
So, we got done with hydro clean this year, and I was talking to John just about where we had been and what we have accomplished. Kind of gave him an overview of what we do on a yearly basis, and he thought maybe it'd be a good idea just to kind of give a summary on how everything went this year. You want to go to the next page? So this year, it's kind of my way of keeping myself in order, but we were north of 2nd Street, up in the Dayton's area, 2nd Street, and we were all the way west, and then we came to the Boone River going east. So we covered a lot of area. Usually when you get towards the center section of town, you run into some roots with established trees and stuff like that. But with the new 2nd Street, brand new pipe, made some pretty quick videos, nothing wrong with that stuff. So we're gonna go to the next one. Just a quick summary of what we found this year. We cleaned and televised roughly 55,000 feet of sanitary sewer. We root cut roughly 3,000 feet of sanitary sewer. That was actually down, being in the neighborhood where we cleaned and televised this year. That's usually a little bit higher. We found 11 voids in the pipe. 1 major offset, 12 locations of major cracking of the mainline pipe, 3 emergency repairs, 4 locations where service taps were installed too far in the mainline pipe, not allowing the camera to pass. So a lot of times when you'll see a contractor has the road tore up and they put your service into the pipe, sometimes they'll shove that PVC too far in, which doesn't allow the camera to pass by. So that's what I mean by that. And then 1 location where a private utility bored through our mainline pipe. The day and age of boring, I know Adam and his crew do a lot of boring. It's just the nature of the beast. You're gonna have that.
So we did find one location of that, and that has already been repaired. This is, I'm a visual person, so I figured this would be a good way to show things. This is a void, a large void that you can see right here, that the pipe is just gone. Over time, soil just kind of crumbles down and then gets taken with the water and the waste, or it can just fall down and cause a blockage, and that's how your home can get backed up. This is kind of a smaller void. You can see not all the time soil will just drop. Sometimes your soil on the site can be really hard packed. With as dry as it's been, you're not seeing as much sloughing off. So I thought those are two pretty good pictures that you kind of visualize and see what we talk about when we say a void. So there's a kind of a lot going on here, but this is also to keep myself sane. I organize just the void and stuff based on color. So kind of this color would be the worst of the worst, all the way down to black. That green and black it's not so bad. I got some time, but if I'm up top here, I better be dealing with it right away, or else I could have some problems. So I have voids, I have cracks, and I have offsets, and then there's kind of like there's something going on there weird, but just kind of keep an eye on it. So and then also whether we can slip line it, can I attach it to a project? So if we're going to be in the area, let's just deal with it when the contractor is there, or can we slip line it? And we all know that we're in the day and age of slip lining, which is cost effective. We don't have to tear up the street. And so that's the quick fix for everybody. So roots, we all know the fun, not fun, but how the problem, the havoc they can play. So this is, you'll hear a lot about service tap. So here's your service coming into the mainline pipe. And a lot of times contractors will tell you, and anybody in the sewer industry will tell you that's where a lot of your roots come in. So your roots are looking for water, and we're on like a 2 to 3 year drought. And so they come through the little cracks where your pipe comes in, and all that tree roots starts causing a problem. And obviously everything's in the ground and we can't see what's going on all the time. So eventually over the time, years, that will build up and pretty much clog up that whole pipe and cause a backup. And here's just at a belt at your connection of the two pipes. And so even the smallest little crack, it finds its way in there, and over time it can cause havoc. So I, so that's a big thing with slip lining. You can see here, this is just a connection, clay bell connection. You can see where water is seeping through there. This is kind of like a lime deposit. When you get a lot of water seeping through there, it kind of turns into a crustation. This right here is under a gravel parking lot. So that water isn't getting to a storm sewer. It's percolating down through the gravel, seeping through that sewer, and it's just turning into like a hard crust. And so over time that will build up, and you have to, that is so hard. You actually got to get like a root cutter, a chain cutter in there to cut all that. So that's a good kind of visual of what I and what that can do. So we'll go to the next one. This is actually a manhole. So right here, if you look up, and that would be a manhole structure. It's kind of the same thing, kind of your access point down to your sanitary sewer. What I'm trying to show here is it's not always just the mainline pipe. It's the actual manhole itself too. So slip lining the main line is important, but also taking care of the manhole structure is just as important. Because as you can see, this right here is in the grass. So what's it doing? And that water is percolating through the grass. Unlike in the street, it gets to a storm sewer and goes away. This manhole is in the grass, and so it's seeping through those bricks and causing, you know, over time it's just a crustation, and then eventually over time it can block off your flow line, which backs up your sewer. So this was kind of a bad one last year. A couple years ago, we had an issue in this specific line that had tree roots in it. Actually, it's out in front of the wastewater plant. A couple years ago, I noticed there's some trees out in front of their building. It was causing problems, and we slip lined it. And as you can see, that was an old clay pipe, and You look at a lot of sewers, that was like brand new pipe. That's kind of what you see with slip lining. So spot repairs, we had 5 excavation repairs will be completed as part of our CIP sanitary sewer rehabilitation project. Street department in-house has completed 2 already spot repairs within the last month. After seeing some of these, you just don't want to wait too long. You don't want to get the late night phone call that somebody's basement is backed up. So you want to get to it as quick as you can. And then 1 spot repair will be completed during the Superior Street panel replacement. Next one. So moving forward, John and I have had a lot of discussions about priority. Obviously, when you have large voids that are under the road, you don't want vehicles falling through the road, obviously. But I&I is a big one. And so as you can see, this is on East Second, coming from Mary Ann's Deli, coming into town, High Street. Our sanitary sewer, for some reason, kind of when they installed it, went kind of off the beaten path and around. And this is a creek, and this is Brian, when he installed the floodplain. You can see it's not the most ideal location, but our sanitary sewer is kind of running right along the creek. So anybody knows, I don't know when that sanitary sewer was installed, but I'm assuming it's not watertight. So what does that mean? We're getting water in our sanitary sewer. So when it floods, or whatever, you know, you're getting water in there. And so we need to reduce that. The hard part about this, Lanny, our old superintendent, you know, being so far off the road, they can only go so many feet with their televising crew and or cameras and stuff. So our priority this year is to get this televised. I'm not even sure if that this back here has been televised that I know of, but we're going to make that happen. And then we'd like to slip line it just to confirm that that is not a problem. We need to start knocking these off the list. And this is Superior Street by the new clinic. Sanitary sewer that kind of comes from out west. It actually runs in the creek or under the creek. And then it kind of crosses it in a couple different locations. So our goal is to get that taken care of. Obviously with the budget we have and with the other voids that we have, and do the best we can in taking care of that I&I. So they don't want to bore you with it too much, but sometimes visuals are a lot more than just up here rambling. But if that's the kind of summarizing. Yeah. But yeah, that's what we've done this year. We continue everything's they came in and did our storm sewer. They're all done with that now. So we'll get prepped and ready for them to come back in August. So
Good deal.
Great,
Thank you.
Thank you. Bob.
yeah.
So then we go to discussion on something more expensive.
Yeah.
Something that needs it probably even more than sewer does.
Yeah.
That's more visual, I think.
Well, I think hopefully with those 3 manholes, I know that the city's had some, I don't want to call it surging, but was it called the East Lift Station?
Yeah.
Sometimes gets quite a bit of flow through there during storm events, and so let's hope that's the issue and we can get that resolved, so.
Yeah, that's the big one. They've been looking for it for a long time.
Yeah. So the item on the agenda was a discussion of street study. If you want to take us, come up here, you can, unless you're comfortable in the back, that's up to you. But and I would describe this, sorry to turn my back to you.
Okay.
As a continuation of our discussion of the budget workshops, a continual shaping of the 24-25 budget, so that the resources that you all have allocated are going towards the areas that you would like to see them invested in the street system next year. What you have here on the screen, and then I'll pull up another one because Brandon and I had talked about some different ideas today, is the copy of the capital improvement fund, or what I call the sales tax fund, that has been used or set aside for streets. And just to recap that discussion, we have the public approved this several years ago to be used for public safety, public infrastructure, public parks, sports recreation, and public library. As I've discussed with you, the history has been that it's been allocated towards street and pavement preservation. Right around $1.2 million a year, depending on interest, is what you have to allocate. You can see in this year you've got more. That's because of a grant for Beach Street, because it's a farm to market road. Previously, at some point in time, the city did do a pavement preservation plan with Snyder and Associates. That plan came back with approximately $1 million of recommended expenditures a year. That is broadly thought of in three chunks. One, sort of $750,000 for what we would call mill and fills, which is your, I think you refer to them as HMA, hot mix asphalt. They mill down the areas of the road next to the curb, and then they put a crown in it, probably about a 3-inch crown. That's called pavement preservation. You do have concrete. This was described as concrete panel replacement yearly. That was actually probably misnamed. What this is concrete that needs to be repaired as you're going through for the mill and fill. And that will be more clear in the next spreadsheet we show. But so for instance, if a curb is sagged and needs to be brought up so water does not pond on the road and cause further deterioration, this is a pot of funds that could be used for it. And they actually did recommend that $250 amount. I think we had 100 set aside for this year. Pavement preservation is something that the city has sort of played with on and off for some years, but that is essentially after you do an HMA or a mill and fill. Typically the year after, maybe some cities do it the same year, some wait a little while. You would come through and do some type of sealant. It's not just the crack seal, that's separate, but it's maybe we'll call it a slurry seal, a slushy seal. There's all types of sealing. In my history, I've been much more familiar with the chip and seal, but I understand that it hasn't been politically popular here. Chip and seal is when you go down and coat the road with oil, then throw a layer of rock on it and grind that rock in. That is really helpful in preserving the pavement. But like I mentioned, there's other slurries and types that you can use. But the summary of that is in the past, the engineers recommended about $1 million a year. You may or may not seek to do that level of spending. That is at your discretion. But we just sort of put the numbers in there based on the study. In addition, you've got some projects that you're tying out. I believe 2nd Street is about 160 left, and that is for retainage and a change order. 60,000 for Lincoln Drive is estimated for next fiscal year. And then you get into what I'm going to call council discretion projects here, which is rehabbing concrete panels on Superior Street, working on a road called Wilson Brewer that is in front of an elementary school. I'm sure you're all much more familiar with that than I am. Do you need clarification where that's located? Okay. Beach Street rehab and panel replacement. That is a project linked to the grant. We're going to talk about that when we go to the next spreadsheet. Then you've got Fair Meadow. That would be an extension of the project you're doing this year, but from Des Moines to Rodland. As you pointed out wisely, Logan, I had 229,000. That's actually 2,229,000 from our workshop. Then we move into Hillcrest, which can you remind me where that's at, Brandon?
Naden's Addition.
That's Naden's Addition. That'll be more clear in the other. And then we go into White Fox Road. Now, as the council can see, the projects that you have listed between, so you have two major pots, right? You have pavement preservation, where you're going into neighborhoods or major roads and doing some things. And then you've got what we're calling street improvement projects, which is more likely your full depth reconstructs and replacing some of the underground, adding some infrastructure in those terms of projects. Now, what we've got here in these years is you know, you're bringing in about 1.2 million, but your expenditures are greater than that. And so while we could do a significant improvement like this in the year one, as we discussed in the work session, as you get into those bigger projects with the Superior Street rehabs and the beach streets, you quickly run out of money in the fund, and you can't do that. That's got to be paid for. So does that bring you up to speed sort of on where we were at the work session? Okay, now going to the second spreadsheet, Brandon and I then, following our discussion at the workshop, said, okay, look, you know, let's sort of reshape this to see if we can, what we can fit in and if we can get the financial picture any better. And so as he and I were talking, and I did ride on all of these roads today, so I am familiar with their condition. I can offer you my recommendations on them. Feel free to disagree. I'm an engineer, and Brandon's got some opinions here too. Instead of taking on Superior and Beach, which I believe, while I wrote on them and there was certainly some needs, I didn't necessarily know that they needed the big slugs. Perhaps what you might do is allocate a certain amount of money to Brandon each year to replace the panels that are in the worst condition. Some of them are needing some attention, but when I wrote on both of them, I did not experience anything that I would consider to be, it's such terrible shape that they needed to be completely reconstructed. If you disagree, please let Brandon and I know. Then we've got sort of the pavement preservation, which is when I was talking about the concrete replacement. We've actually removed the ceiling. We would need to come back in and add that because we wanted to talk with you more about the HMAs. But this is a line when you see it to think about. This is the money that he's using for curb and other just concrete replacement as he's going through with these hot mix projects. Then we get to the, oh no, this is the ceiling. We left that in. This is that money that I was just describing. Okay, so now, then we got in, now he had Snyder Price, what we're gonna call HMA projects on these streets. So Elm and Cedar have been planned for a little while. Water and Boone, as we rode around, were identified as two, I think, in real need of attention. You're losing the pavement on some of them in some areas of that those streets. Brewer Wilson is the street by the park. Bell East Street is over by Nokomis Park. Third, Bell and High is over by the fairgrounds. So that's a long stretch, but clearly something that's used heavily during the fair. And then Third Street. Now, we have listed them and we put them in this year, but they are certainly able, we want you guys to sort of prioritize where you think a lot of this maybe spending should be. We can prioritize it for you, but we wanted to see if you had any ones that you wanted us to tackle right away. Okay, then we get into the improvement. We've got these that you have to do. And then to make this work, we had to move out. Like Fairmont or Rodland. We've not included the panel replacements on Beach and Superior. That's up here. And then we've moved out this reconstruct. Now, you can see we still have issues with the fund, but it's less, you still have some funding here. That's just pushing these out quite a bit. So like Des Moines to Rodland, which you prioritized, would be here. In addition, you can see in these out years, we're not really doing any hot mix asphalt because of these bigger projects. And that goes back to sort of the discussion that we had. Really, if you want to have a beefed up pavement management program, you're probably not going to be able to fund the cash for the reconstructs unless you wish to elongate this 5-year plan into maybe more of a 8 to 10 year plan. So that is the description of what we did. And this isn't like you guys decide tonight and it's done. We just sort of like your help in prioritizing maybe some of the projects you'd like to see and how you'd like to get those done. And then Brandon, do you have more to share here? The one thing I wanted to add is with the HMA projects that we're recommending, Snyder came back and gave us sort of three options for a lot of these. This is the lowest cost option for all of them. The other ones include a lot of underground, maybe some more curb, maybe some more storm, maybe some more sidewalk. Brandon decided that with some of the delays that you've had in the pavement management program over the past couple of years, that you may just want to do the cheaper option, which is the mill and fill, and defer some of the other infrastructure that you believe can be deferred. So, for instance, on Boone and Water, right, we're not going to replace a lot of the curb, but anybody driving down there would say most of the curb needs to be replaced. And so, but to stretch your dollar and try to get a surface that's maybe more attractive to the owner, we've abandoned that except for the serious failures that are going to be ponding water. Now, I apologize. Turn it over to you.
No, it was a good conversation to be had. I mean, the biggest thing that we'd like to discuss with you guys is, obviously the easy decision is to say, do all the infrastructure. It's the safe bet, right? Your water main's gonna be good. Your sanitary is gonna be upsized. Everything's gonna be good. The thing we need to remember is we're spending, $1.5 to $2 million nowadays for one block. And we are not getting anywhere. And I'm not sitting here saying I want to catch up and we're gonna get even, and we're gonna, get there. But I think we need that shot in the arm. And I think it's time to roll the dice, maybe a little bit. Not necessarily roll, that's probably a bad choice of words.
Yeah, we don't like rolling dice.
Not rolling dice. Go with, there's some 4-inch water mains under some of these asphalt roads, right? We know those are gonna have to be addressed in the next 30 to 50 years or whatever that may be. So why not deal with all the infrastructure when that gets addressed? Why not do a mill and fill and address some curb and gutter for 200,000? And let's get us down the road 20 years maybe. And, engineers will say, it's not gonna last 20 years. Well, we did, who's familiar with Union Street? That was a mill and fill. That was really no subgrade prep at all. I think there's actually only 2 inches, maybe even there. And that's been there 5 years. And I think it's holding up decent. Am I saying it's gonna last 30 years? No, but it's a heck of a lot better than the way it was. So, my view is I think we need to get a little bit more. John and I also discussed that, we'd love to do a reconstruct and do some mill and fills, and some asphalt work, but it's just not feasible with the budget that we have. So there's a couple routes we can go. We can do some asphalt. We can, and no reconstruct. We can do some work, not do anything for a year, build the fund back up. And then also when it going back to the asphalt, are you guys okay with that? Are you guys okay with, going with a little bit cheaper version, knowing it's gonna get us 15 years, 20 years? And we're probably gonna have to come back to it. Are you okay with that? But yet we're gonna get quite a bit done. Or are you guys like, no, we want to take the safe route. We're only gonna be able to do 2 blocks instead of 6, but we know it's gonna last 30 years. And so moving forward, I think with the streets, John, instead of, not necessarily my way is the best way, but the engineer's route is the best route. Because they've even admitted that Union Street, they never thought it would be in the shape that it is today. So there's things to consider, obviously search some of these side streets where we don't have heavy truck traffic on. They're not highways. You don't have heavy semi turning traffic, which is hard on asphalt. Things you have to consider and take into mind as you make these decisions. So having your support, and if there's things that really concern you, I guess now would be the time for you guys to just give us a little bit of feedback so we know we're kind of making the right decision moving forward.
So like the top 3 streets you get all the time, right? One's on there right now. And let me clarify your note there, Ohio to Des Moines Street. I'm confused by that, but the Brewer Wilson Street, what do you mean by Ohio to Des Moines?
Sorry, so, yeah, so as
You just mean the whole side of Pleasant View?
Yeah, and then
I got you. So that, I get that all the time. And
Yeah.
I have a son at Pleasant View. I get it. It's rough shape. The other one is the one we talked about, the 2 point some million. That sounds like it might be a reconstruct the Des Moines Street to Rodland on Bear Meadow.
Yep.
Rough shape.
Yep.
So that would be different. And now the other one, and I don't think this is even possible because it used to be a highway, but is Edgewood. You know, I get a lot of like sidewalk curb on Edgewood, right? Can't really do that because the way the ditch system, I believe, you know, it's just, you could, but it just
Yeah.
fiscally, you know, kind of insane.
Yeah.
So with those three are always the ones I get, you know, tagged. So, with that 950 on Brewer Wilson, that would just be a filling of what is existing there, right?
So
That would be any curb.
950 includes the HMA asphalt and the storm sewers, because we don't have a storm sewer.
Right.
fund. That's where that storm sewer water cut, their money comes from.
I think you said that was about 200 of the 950. Is that more? The storm was 200 of the 950.
Yeah,
So the storm, is that incorporated into the road? So that
Yeah,
would be,
so-
would that be curbs?
so it would be mill and fill from the bridge going north, from the bridge going south, going up is gonna be curb and gutter with some storm sewer. It's got a lot of water coming down,
Yeah.
right? We need to get some storm water, get it
Yeah.
into some pipes and down to the creek. And then once you get to the top, there's not a water main that goes from the top of the hill to Des Moines Street. It's actually like a 2-inch service line. And so while we're there, we need to just connect the water main, put in a 6-inch one.
Sure.
So it only makes sense to do that at that time.
And there's
So
no-
you have a little bit of water.
There's currently no curb on the hill, right?
Correct.
Right, yeah, because I always
Going
get,
south.
okay,
Yeah, there's no.
I always get that, like, we need curb and go, you know, to, I guess, manage that water, that runoff.
Yes, and I know with the school, with the drop off and pickup has been a big issue. It's deteriorated. We've had pavement doctor there numerous times. Cold, we spent, there's so much cold mix just sitting there in potholes.
Yeah.
So we did a safe route to school study. So that was another reason. A couple years ago, we
Yeah,
had
I remember that,
quite a few
yeah.
complaints.
Yeah.
So it only makes sense that for that.
So definitely keep that highlighted, because that, again, I'm getting, everyone else chime in, but that's the three I get being done all the time. But again, Edgewood, I tell people it used to be a highway, there's ditches on the side of the road, there's really no infrastructure, but anyway. With that said, I coming to this conversation, a member of the community asked me to bring this up, a small chunk of road that possibly could be attached to another project. And I don't know if you have a map on there, but essentially it's where, you know, South Street deadheads into the Quick Start property, that one block of gravel.
Yep.
I've interacted with a couple property owners there a couple different times, wondering if that could ever be paved. So I thought, well, a good idea for that would be, and this is me naively talking about how roads are built, so trying not to laugh, but like, if there's like excess material from like the Fair Meadow project, it's right there. You know, maybe like, hey, just tack that onto a project like that, so the economy of scale helps kind of mitigate that a bit. So anyway, that's one I want to keep on your radar too.
Okay.
But
What was that last one?
so it's I think the 600 block of South Street. I want to say it's 500 or 600 block. I don't know what it is, but essentially when you're on Des Moines, if you turn west, it's paved on south. If you turn east, it's a 1 block dead end of gravel, but there's 3 or 4 homes there, and it's just it's a dead end street. But yeah, it's a small patch of gravel that. But anyway, it's one of those things that I don't think should be its own project necessarily, but if it can be tacked onto like an adjacent project, maybe vice versa. But again, if we can get creative with attacking several streets at once, instead of like kind of like pinching the hose and building up the pressure and then doing like, you know, $4 million worth of, you know, total repair. And that again, you know, it gets us maybe 3 or 4 blocks. Yeah, we'll never catch up. And I don't think your analogy is that far off or that worrisome about rolling the dice, because I think it maybe getting creative is a better way to put it, but we definitely need to get creative on how to really start attacking some of this deteriorating infrastructure. Not necessarily, you know, total repair, but almost like, you know, like physical therapy, like someone like, you know, you need a new hip, or you just go to physical therapy to extend the life of that hip, you know, something. So I think that's a good way to look at this, a good way to holistically look at Webster City and the infrastructure needs. So I have no issues getting aggressive with some HMA. And you call that hot mix asphalt? Okay,
Mill and fill.
okay.
It's the quickest way to get stuff done. And it's obviously we've got plenty of it being done in the past and it's lasted.
No, I take a picture. Yeah.
But are there other streets on this list that are priorities for the governing body?
Well, if you start, I mean, I don't know, you could have a never ending list. I mean, we could go around town and probably find ones. that are-
Our biggest thing is just wanting to make sure we're hitting the mains.
Yeah.
And so John mentioned at the budget meeting last week that the Fair Meadow Drive from Des Moines to Rodland has been, it got brought up. And so he's like, why aren't we going there? So, is there anything other than that you guys are getting communication with that?
That's the one I
It
get.
couldn't
the
be
most
mill
to.
and fill that Fair Meadow. Is it gotta be concrete back?
Well, so that's your main access to, there's, hold on, I mean, it's your main access to or the new development. You can look at it two ways. You could do it asphalt and, you know, with heavy truck traffic and excavators and stuff getting in there and hauling stuff in. And we can just, you know, mill it and fill it 10 or 20 years. So you do concrete, it'll last forever, you know, but.
Well, it didn't last forever.
Well, that's an interesting question, though.
Should be better this.
I think that's an interesting question. I think the reason that it's being considered for reconstruct is you've had 8 water main breaks in it, right?
Oh, so great point. So I talked.
That's what I was
I
wondering.
talked to the engineers, so they're recommending it's a 6-inch ductile iron water main pipe in there right now. We've had 8 water main breaks on it. They want to bump it from a 6 to an 8. My question that I thought probably you guys would have is why are we bumping it one size? Why not go from a 6 to a 12 and just be done with it for the next 60 years? But they said there's no really benefit bumping all the way to 12 and then price is just going to be crazy. So they recommended just going from a 6 to an 8. You would slip line the sanitary sewer and you would have to reconstruct some storm sewer to upsize it, so. But yeah, it's not one of them.
And
streets
then you got
can
some
just go on.
sidewalk on there
That's
too.
what I mean, if this,
And then, yeah, and then that's another topic, you know, it's what are we gonna do with sidewalk? We're doing both sides of the road, one side of the road.
oh, that's a whole big issue.
That's
Yeah,
a whole nother
that's a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the other policy question that, you know, you may be asked to consider, given the number of projects that are, you know, roughly 2 times the amount that you've got, you know, is, are you willing to incur municipal debt for some of the reconstructs as opposed to saving cash? So you're gonna tackle this a lot of different ways, and we talked a little bit about it at the work session. You know, the big slug for this year is the 1.3 million that'll be coming out for Fair Meadow from Superior to Des Moines. That will be drawing down your balance significantly. In addition, you know, these other bigger reconstruction projects, you know, there is a reason to consider borrowing for them instead of trying to fund them with cash. If your cash is going to allow you to continue to do these pavement preservations. However, that's a policy choice. You may not be comfortable with it. If the, you know, if the choice is no, that just means these get spread out over more years than doing some catch up. You know, clearly Brewer Wilson here is taking a bulk of the money. We had recommended approximately 750. That alone is, you know, in the 950 range. So that's one of the reasons we got some other streets for you to consider. You know, incurring the debt will add it to the debt service levy. That will compete for resources against the general fund, especially in light of the state legislature's restrictions on total growth. There may be some other opportunities to generate revenue. Even some that the city has already implemented, but you know, I think coming into this year, we just would like to begin working with the engineers on the projects you want us to prioritize for this summer and the remainder of the year.
Are you thinking you want to do what's highlighted in the yellow up there? Is that what you were thinking?
No, I just had,
Not this one, I mean the other.
no, I think,
How many of the?
these were, well, Brandon, I guess I'll kick that question to you when, with what he asked.
Yeah, so. When we first discussed, I think we only spent 202,000 on the 2 blocks currently we have bid out, and it was, said, well, why don't we do more? So that's where the remaining locations come from, because they're in really tough shape. So that's where I would recommend going. With those solutions on how to get there with the mill and fill, yeah, I don't know if I would exactly do all of them. I would maybe, do half of them. Do half of them in 25, 26 or 26, 27.
Well, we have sort of pushed that Wilson Brewer once again.
Well, I think the Wilson Brewer needs to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had conversations with the engineer and we already have an estimate. Come July 1, we were gonna just nail down everything and bid it this fall and construction to be next summer, so. We're already on the track. I think we've already and we've talked about that, and I think that's one that just needs to go. It's, after that one, do you wanna do more HMA, or do you wanna get right after Fair Meadow and just go over to that?
Did you
Well-
think that you'd get some of these tacked onto what you're doing this summer, or not? You wouldn't be?
We were recommended that the prices have come down for asphalt, so they recommended not, and I don't think we can legally tie on that much dollars.
Right.
It would be quite a bit, so they recommended.
But I wondered if you rebid it before they came, would they, do you think you'd get
That's-
favorable?
That's the whole, yeah, we've already reached out to them, so.
Okay. Because I'm sure they'd be happy to come and do a big.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
Okay.
going back to John, your question about policy, I guess we've, when you're talking about the amount you're talking about for a block of concrete, I'm comfortable, as comfortable as you can get when it comes to borrowing money.
Yeah.
With looking at doing that with big projects, so we can bite off more to improve the residents' roads, because we've got, here's the list that it's probably 4 times that really need to be addressed, but we can't. So I'd be comfortable looking at, let's try to address it all in the next year and a half. Everything you got right there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, if we have to borrow, we borrowed to do Second Street,
Right.
but surely we can borrow to do the other parts of town too, so
Right.
it's not.
When you borrow for those kinds of roads, how long do you pay for?
Probably a 20-year bond, 15, 20-year. Yep.
Obviously, we can't do it a lot, but.
Right.
That's what I Yeah.
We probably have gotten behind. I mean,
Well, we know we're behind, but it's not,
and when I brought the street study, what was that, 4 years ago? I mean, it showed that we were on a steady decline, and we knew that. With the funding we have, so I mean, we're trying to get creative, like we all talked about, on how to get to where we hope to be.
Yeah.
So these are kind of some of the options we're throwing out and seeing what's the best for us.
if you can get 15 years, as long as your infrastructure underneath is okay, to get a nice, decent quality road.
And with that being said, you're gonna have some, I didn't see that coming.
Right.
Type of scenarios, but I think that's, when I misspoke, that's what I meant by, you're gonna have some.
but I'd rather you were going in and tearing up a mill and fill street than a concrete
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
so. Would we say that list was 1.2, 1.3?
Well, the HMA, so we had, when we talked last Wednesday or a couple Wednesdays ago, it's like 2.4. Now that was because Brewer Wilson.
So, yes, yeah.
Not a part of that conversation, but we had 750. Now, again, you've been pretty prudent with this fund, so you could even stomach that with going forward, but it's all the other projects, and then recognize we don't have anything in these out years, so we have to do that. But I think we got the feedback that we need. you know, just going back, we're sort of rethinking actually doing all of Superior and Beach at one time and maybe doing some rehabs for panels that are needed. We're gonna continue to talk because we did have that $850,000 grant for Beach for the farm to market. We want to see what happens to that. If you have strong feelings about that, let us know. Then we've got the HMAs and the other projects, and I guess Dodie and I will take a look at what this looks like in the out years and bring back additional recommendations. But what I'm hearing now is there is not a you are eager to see us maybe do a push year and maybe do some big impact this year with what you've got on hand.
Yeah.
I would like to see a proposal to that degree. And then, of course, like you mentioned, Matt, Counselor McKinney, if you do have other roads that you did not see on this list that you would like us to begin thinking about, please let us know. Same with everybody else on this dais.
Very good. Good discussion. I'm glad we're bringing this up. I mean, essentially, this should maybe be even like a quarterly discussion, you know, kind of where we're at with stuff and.
We talked about this before. It's, sanitary storm,
Yeah.
signs, all that stuff is easy. It's streets.
Sure.
You could tell me why you want to do this street. I kind of agree with that. So it's how can we agree on what you guys are getting feedback from and what, makes the most sense with infrastructure. So.
Yeah, thank you for putting this together.
Yeah.
Good.
To approve.
Open your doors.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Thanks, everybody. We're adjourned.